Good morning, dear students. I, Vijayalakshmi, your teacher of English, welcome you to Lecture 3 of Chapter 1 from the book Footprints Without Feet. Dear students, today we'll read Lecture 3. So come on, let's know and find out what happens to Tricky next in the story. I hope you will read the chapter well and try to understand each and every difficult word from the story. At the surgery, the household dogs surged round me. Tricky looked down at the noisy pack with dull eyes and, when put down, lay motionless on the carpet. The other dogs, after sniffing round him for a few seconds, decided he was an uninteresting object and ignored him. Now he brought Now the narrator brought the dog to the surgery. There, all the other dogs gathered around him, and they sniffed and found it an uninteresting object and ignored him. Then the narrator says, I made up a bed for him in a warm, loose box next to one where the other dogs slept. For 2 days I kept an eye on him, giving him no food but plenty of water. At the end of the second day, he started to show some interest in surroundings. On the third, he began to whimper when he heard the dogs in the yard. When I opened the door, Tricky trotted out and was immediately engulfed by Joe, the greyhound, and his friends. After rolling him over and thoroughly inspecting him, the dogs moved off down the garden. Tricky followed them, rolling slightly with his surplus fat. Now, for some days, he supervised the dog very minutely. He did not give him anything to eat. And then he found that side by side he was gaining interest in the things. He inspected him, the narrator inspected him, and the dog moved off down the garden. Tricky followed them, rolling slightly with his surplus fat. Means after a few days he started showing his interest in the things around him. Later that day I was present at feeding time. I watched while Tristan slopped the food into the bowls. There was the usual headlong rush followed by the sounds of high-speed eating. Every dog knew that if he fell behind the others, he was liable to have some competition for the last part of his meal. Now Tricky was very enthusiastically observing the other dogs in the surgery. When they had finished, Tricky took a walk round the shining balls, licking casually inside one or the two of them. Next day, an extra ball was put out for him, and I was pleased to see him jostling his way towards him. Jostling is rushing or pushing each other. Now, when he noticed that when all the dog had finished their lunch, their food in the plates, Tricky took a walk round the shining bowls, licking casually inside one or two of them. Now, next day, an extra ball was put out for him, and the narrator was pleased to see him jostling his way towards it. From then on, his progress was very fast. He had no medicinal treatment of any kind, but all day he ran about with the dogs, joining in their friendly scrimmage. He discovered the joy of being bowled over, tramped on, and squashed every few minutes. He became an accepted member of the gang, an unlikely, silly little object among the shaggy crew, fighting like a tiger at his share at meal times and hunting rats in the old hen house at night. He had never had such a time in his life because he was leading a luxurious life with his rich mistress, Mrs. Pamphray. But the real life of a dog, now he learnt in the surgery, in the company of other dogs. He realized that really this is the life. On the other hand, Miss Pamphray was equally worried about the plight of his dog, Tricky. He rang a dozen times a day for the latest news, for the latest bulletin. The narrator says, I dodged the question about whether his cushions were being turned regularly or his correct coat about whether his cushion were being turned regularly or his correct coat worn according to the weather. But I was able to tell her that the little fellow was out of danger and convalescing rapidly. Convalescing means he was recovering fastly. The word convalescing seemed to do something to Mrs. Pamphray. She started to bring round fresh eggs, 2 dozen at a time, to build up Tricky's strength. For a happy period, my partners and I had 2 eggs each for breakfast. But when the bottles of wine began to arrive, the real responsibilities of the situation began to dawn on the household. It was to enrich Tricky's blood. Lunch became a ceremonial occasion, with 2 glasses of wine before and several during the meal. Now, Mrs. Pamphray was much worried about the health of Tricky. Sometimes she sent a 2 dozen of time to build up Tricky's strength. Sometimes she sent fresh eggs. Sometimes she sent wine bottles, bottles of wine. Now, it was the concern of Mrs. Pamphray, and Mr. Harriet realized that the lunch had become a ceremonial occasion with 2 glasses of wine before and several during the meal. It means he himself was enjoying all those things which were sent by Mrs. Pamphray for her dog Tricky. We could hardly believe it when the brandy came to put a final edge on Tricky's constitution. For a few nights, the fine spirit was rolled around, inhaled, and reverently drunk. They were days of deep content, starting well with the extra egg in the morning, improved and sustained by the midday wine, and finishing luxuriously round the fire with the brandy. Here, narrator is telling how the things were being served to them by Mrs. Pamphray, and how those things which were given for Mrs. Pamphray were being used by the narrator and his friends. It was a temptation to keep Tricky on as a permanent guest, but I knew Mrs. Pamphray was suffering, and after a fortnight felt compelled to phone and tell her that the little dog had recovered and was awaiting collection. Here the narrator says that although we want to keep Tricky as a permanent guest, but we were compelled to send him back due to many times or frequent question by Mrs. Pamphret. Within minutes, about 30 feet of gleaming black metal drew up outside the surgery. The chauffeur opened the door. I could just make out the figure of Mrs. Pamphret, almost lost in the interior. Her hands were tightly clasped in front of her. Her lips trembled. "Oh, Mr. Harriet, do tell me the truth. Is he really better?" "Yes, he is fine. There is no need for you to get out of the car. I'll go and fetch him." You see, now Mrs. Pamphret has reached to the house of Mr. Harriet to get the news of his dog Tricky. I walked through the house into the garden. A mass of dogs was hurtling round and round the lawn, and in their midst, ears flapping, tail waving, was the little golden figure of Tricky. In 2 weeks he had been transformed into a lithe, hard muscled animal. He was keeping up well with the pack, stretching out in great bounds, his chest almost brushing the ground. I carried him back along the passage of the front of the house. The chauffeur was still holding the car. The door opened. When Tricky saw his mistress, he took off from my arms in tremendous leap and sailed into Mrs. Pamphret's lap. She gave a startled "Oh!" and then had to defend herself as he swarmed over her, licking her face and barking. During the excitement, I helped the chauffeur to bring out the beds, toys, cushions, coats, and balls, none of which had been used. As the car moved away, Mrs. Pamphret leaned out of the window. Tears shone in her eyes. Her lips trembled. "Oh, Mr. Harriet," she cried, "how can I ever thank you? This is a triumph of surgery." Now, Mrs. Pamphret was totally excited to see the condition of his dog Tricky. The Tricky was totally enthusiastic. He was full of enthusiasm, joy, happiness when he saw his mistress, and the narrator tells that this was whole a triumph, a victory of surgery. Thank you, students.